In the early 18th century, the golden age of piracy was in full swing. Blackbeard, Calico Jack, and Anne Bonny terrorized the seas. But one of the most unlikely pirates to ever hoist the Jolly Roger was a man who had no business being there at all. His name was Stede Bonnet. Born around 1688 in Barbados to a wealthy English family, Stede Bonnet grew up with every advantage. He inherited a large sugar plantation, married a respectable woman named Mary Allenby, and together they had 4 children. By all accounts, he was a gentleman planter, educated, refined, and living a life of quiet luxury on the island. But something was missing. By 1717, at the age of 29, Stede Bonnet had grown deeply unhappy with his comfortable life. Contemporary accounts say he was henpecked by his wife and bored out of his mind managing slaves and sugarcane. He wanted adventure. He wanted freedom. He wanted pirates. So, in one of the most bizarre career changes in history, Stede Bonnet decided to buy a ship and become a pirate captain. He wasn't a sailor. He wasn't a fighter. He had 0 experience at sea. But that didn't stop him. He purchased a 60-ton sloop, named it the Revenge, and outfitted it with 10 guns. He hired a crew of about 70 men, many of them experienced sailors who must have wondered what on earth they'd signed up for. And in the summer of 1717, Stede Bonnet sailed away from Barbados, leaving behind his wife, his children, and his plantation, never to return. His early piracy was not exactly legendary. Bonnet's crew captured a few small vessels along the American coast, but he proved to be a terrible navigator and an even worse leader. His men quickly grew frustrated with their amateur captain. During one encounter with a Spanish ship, Bonnet was badly wounded in the leg and had to spend weeks recovering. It was during this recovery that he met the most infamous pirate of them all, Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard. In 1718, Bonnet and Blackbeard formed an unlikely alliance. Blackbeard took command of the Revenge, and the 2 captains sailed together as part of a pirate flotilla. For a time, Stede Bonnet sailed under Blackbeard's shadow, learning the ropes, literally. But Bonnet was restless. He wanted to be his own man again. He renamed his ship the Royal James, tried to go legitimate by getting a pardon from the governor of North Carolina, and even posed as a privateer for a while. But old habits die hard. Soon enough, he was back to piracy, raiding ships up and down the East Coast. His luck, however, was running out. In September 1718, Bonnet's crew anchored in the Cape Fear River to careen their ship. That's when they were discovered by Colonel William Rhett, who had been sent by the governor of South Carolina to hunt them down. What followed was the Battle of Cape Fear River, one of the most dramatic naval engagements of the pirate era. Bonnet fought bravely, but his crew was outnumbered and outgunned. After a fierce fight, the pirates surrendered. Bonnet and his men were taken to Charleston in chains. The trial was swift and sensational. The gentleman pirate, as the newspapers called him, became a celebrity prisoner. While most of his crew were hanged, Bonnet, ever the gentleman, pleaded for mercy and even tried to escape. But mercy was not granted. On December 10th, 1718, Stede Bonnet was hanged at White Point Garden in Charleston, South Carolina. He was about 30 years old. His body was left dangling in the breeze as a warning to other would-be pirates. Stede Bonnet's story is one of the strangest in pirate history. A wealthy, educated man who threw away everything for the romantic dream of pirate life. only to discover that the reality was far bloodier, harder, and shorter than the fantasy. He wasn't the most successful, he wasn't the most feared, but he remains one of the most fascinating, because in the end, Stede Bonnet didn't just chase treasure. He chased the one thing his family money couldn't buy: the true freedom of being a pirate captain. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe for more tales from the golden age of piracy, and let me know in the comments who's your favorite pirate of all time.